In the previous lecture, we had learnt about the smell of skunk animal, skunk. Okay, so it has a terrible. This skunk animal releases very foul smelling substance. Okay, releases very foul smelling substance. So skunk animal releases very foul smelling substance. This particular fact we had learnt in the previous lecture. Now we are continuing with our Clayden books paragraph. So the paragraph says something like this. But perhaps the worst smell ever recorded was that which caused the evacuation of the German city of Freiburg in 1889. So it is telling us regarding an incident from the German city of Freiburg, and this incident took place in which year? It took place in 1889. So in the year 1889, an incident took place in the German city of Freiburg, and that incident was something like this, that it was related to the worst smell. It was related to worst smell that was ever recorded. And it was such a worst smell, it was such a bad smell, such a foul smell, that it caused the evacuation of the city, entire city. It caused the evacuation of the entire city. This was the worst smell ever recorded. Attempts to make thioacetone by attempts to make thioacetone. Now, what is the structure of thioacetone? So you can have a look. Thioacetone, no, not thioacetone, sorry, thioacetone. Okay, so thioacetone looks something like this. Thioacetone looks something like this. This is the structure of thioacetone. Now tell me, this is acetone. Okay, this is acetone. When sulfur is replaced by oxygen, it becomes acetone. When sulfur is replaced with oxygen, then it becomes acetone. Okay, if sulfur is replaced with oxygen, it becomes acetone. And when oxygen is replaced by sulfur, when this oxygen is replaced by sulfur, it becomes thioacetone. I accidentally called it thiooctane previously. But it is not thiooctane. It is thioacetone. Keep this thing in mind. And the structure of thioacetone is something like this. Now, what is the name of the compound here? This is trithioacetone. This particular compound is trithioacetone. This particular compound is trithioacetone. So it contains three sulfur atoms, and in between those sulfur atoms there is a carbon atom in the middle, and that to that carbon atom two methyl groups are attached. To this carbon atom, two methyl groups are attached. This is first methyl group, this is second methyl group, this is first methyl group, this is second methyl group, and to this carbon also two methyl groups are attached. This is first methyl group, this is second methyl group. Okay. So by with the help of trithioacetone, we were trying to make thioacetone. Okay. So what happened is that attempts to make thioacetone by the cracking of trithioacetone, by cracking this, they wanted to make this. By cracking this compound, they wanted to make this particular compound. Okay, by cracking of this compound, it gave rise to an offensive smell. Okay, so these attempts of this particular conversion, okay, attempts of this particular conversion released a very very foul smell. Okay, attempts to do this conversion released a very very foul smell, gave rise to an offensive smell. Okay, and that offensive smell spread rapidly over a great area. Okay, it spread rapidly over a great area of the town, and because of the effect of this smell, it caused fainting, vomiting, and panic evacuation. People felt nauseated. Okay, people felt nauseated and suffocated. People felt nauseated and suffocated, and also faced fainting, vomiting. Okay, because of the smell of this compound, which is a very very offensive smell and which spread over a great area. Okay, and a panic evacuation was done. Panic evacuation, panic evacuation means very emergency evacuation. Okay, emergency evacuation. Emergency evacuation simply means that people were displaced from the city. People were relocated. People were relocated to a safer place. Okay, people were relocated. This is what is meant by panic evacuation. The government did that panic evacuation. It was the task of government. The laboratory work, this particular laboratory work of making thioacetone, this particular laboratory work of making thioacetone by cracking trithioacetone, this particular laboratory work was abandoned. And why was it abandoned? It was abandoned because of the foul smell and the effects it caused to the local public living in the city of Freiburg in the year 1889. Now, it was perhaps foolhardy. Now, what is the meaning of the word foolhardy? Let us see. Foolhardy, the meaning of this word foolhardy is that a foolish action taking unnecessary risks. Okay, what is the meaning of foolhardy? Foolhardy means a bold action. Okay, or risky action. Okay, foolhardy means a risky action which is foolish. A foolish action which is foolish action which is risky. Foolish action which is risky. That is what is the meaning of foolhardy. Okay. So it was foolhardy for workers at the Esso research station. Okay. So in USA, this particular story is from USA. They are talking about Esso research station located in USA. Okay. So for workers at the Esso research station to repeat the experiment of cracking trithioacetone south of Oxford in 1967. So in 1967 again a controversy took place in 1967, and again that particular experiment was being repeated, and the experiment was cracking trithioacetone, and this was being done at the south of Oxford in the year 1967, and again trithioacetone was being cracked. Okay, and it was a very bold step, very risky, foolish step for workers. Okay, why is it being called as foolish, risky step? It is being called as foolish, risky step because once again the foul smell spreaded to a huge area. Okay, again the foul smell was spread on a huge area, and many people complained about it. Many people made a fuss about it. Many people made a fuss. Okay, made a fuss about it. What does it mean by many people made fuss? Many people made fuss about it means bawal khada ho gaya. In Hindi we call bawal khada ho gaya. Okay, so many people made a fuss out of it. It means that bawal khada ho gaya. In Hindi we call it bawal khada hona, raita phail jana. Okay, so fuss was created. Okay, many people made a huge fuss about it. Now let the people tell the story. Okay, let them take up the story means let them tell the story themselves. Okay, let the workers tell the story themselves. So the workers are telling the story from here onwards. Recently we found ourselves with an odor problem beyond our worst expectations. So recently, at that particular time, they were saying this. Obviously, in the year 1967, when the incident took place, in that 1967 year, they were saying this. Okay, so this is what they have said. This is what the workers have said. So from here onwards, what they said, it is being written. In the year 1967, whatever they said, that is being written from here onwards. Okay. So recently we found ourselves with an odor problem beyond our worst expectations. So there was an odor problem, that is the problem of a odor problem is foul smell problem, and beyond our worst expectations. Okay, so our expectations were not like that, but it exceeded our expectations. It was beyond our expectations. Okay, so it was a very worst expectation. Even the worst we thought about, even it was greater than that. Okay, so beyond our worst expectations. During early experiments, what happened is that a stopper jumped from a bottle of residues. So let us imagine there is a bottle, okay, and a stopper is there, okay, to seal this bottle. Okay, there is a stopper to seal this particular bottle. This is the stopper. Now, a stopper jumped from a bottle of residues. Now, this is a bottle of residues. What does it mean by bottle of residues? Residues means when we do some chemical reaction, or we do crystallization processes, whenever we do some chemical reaction or we perform crystallization process, residue is left behind. Okay, the waste material. What is residue? Residue means waste material. Okay, so there was a stopper, it jumped from the bottle of residues, which is a waste materials are called as residues. So a stopper jumped from a bottle of residues, it fell down. It jumped means it fell down and the bottle was opened. Okay, and all the replaced at once, and this stopper was replaced at once. Okay, it was replaced at once. All the replaced at once resulted in an immediate complaint of nausea and sickness. So it resulted in an immediate complaint of nausea and sickness from colleagues working in a building 200 yards away. Okay, so nausea means feeling like fainting. Okay, fainting. What does it mean by nausea? Nausea means a feeling of fainting. Feeling of fainting is called as nausea feeling. Okay. So in Hindi we can call chakkar aa gaya. चक्कर आ गया, nausea फील हो रहा था मतलब चक्कर आ गया. इन हिंदी वी कैन कॉल इट लाइक दैट कि चक्कर आ गया उनको, लोगों को स्मेल सूंघ के चक्कर आ गया. ओके, so resulted in an immediate complaint of nausea, that is fainting, and sickness from colleagues working in a building, and those colleagues were not nearby. Okay, everyone will expect that those colleagues were nearby. No, those colleagues were working in a far building. Okay, so working in a building 200 yards away. Now what does it mean by 200 yards? So have a look, I have marked it here. 200 yards means a distance of 182.88 meters. 200 yards means exactly 182.88 meters. This is the meaning of 200 yards. Okay, so I have converted it to meters because people will not understand. In India, yards term is not used. Okay, so 200 yards means 182.88 meters. So keep this thing in mind. So 200 yards away. So the nausea and sickness was felt by the colleagues who were working in a building that was 200 yards away. Two of our chemists who had done no more than investigate the cracking of minute amounts of trithioacetone. So there were two chemists who were doing this work on minute amounts of trithioacetone. What is the structure of trithioacetone? I have already showed it to you. Let me show it to you once again. This is trithioacetone. This is the structure of trithioacetone. Okay. So two of our chemists who had done no more than investigate the cracking of minute amounts of trithioacetone found themselves the subject of hostile stares in a restaurant. Okay. So people were staring at them with anger. Okay. Hostile stare means staring with anger and resentment. Staring with anger and resentment. Okay. Staring with anger and resentment. Okay. In an opposing manner. Opposing and irritating manner. That is what is the meaning of hostile stares. Okay. So those two chemists were investigating cracking of minute amount of trithioacetone, and they were the subjects of controversy. They found themselves as the object of hostile stares. People in a restaurant stared at them with hostility. Okay, people in a restaurant, when they went to the restaurant after work, people were staring at them with opposition and anger. Okay, and these two chemists also suffered the humiliation. Okay, suffered the humiliation of having a waitress. Now a waitress was there. What is the mean by a waitress? Waitress means a lady. Waitress means a lady who serves the food in a restaurant. Okay, a waitress is a lady who takes orders in a restaurant. She serves the food. Waitress serves the food at the restaurant. She takes the order for your meal. Okay, so that is the meaning of waitress. It is a lady, feminine gender. Okay, it is feminine form of the word waiter. Okay, so waiter is a male term, masculine gender. Waiter is masculine gender. It is used for males, and for females waitress is the word which is used. So these two chemists suffered the humiliation that a waitress spray a deodorant on them. Okay, the waitress sprayed the area around them with a deodorant. Okay, with a deodorant that is deodorant you all know. Okay, Park Avenue deodorant, NV deodorant. Okay, these are some of the brands of deodorant available in India. Park Avenue, Dio. Okay, then NV. These are some of the deodorants available in India. Okay, so the waitress sprayed the area around those chemists, those two chemists. Those were smelling really foul. Okay, those two chemists were smelling really very bad, and so the waitress sprayed the area around them with a deodorant. Okay, so they suffered the humiliation. Okay, this is a humiliating act. The odors defied the expected effects of dilution. Now, the smell of this particular compound trithioacetone and thioacetone, the odors of these compounds, they defied the expected effects of dilution. Okay. So what should happen is that as the distance increases, the smell must get diluted. As the distance increases, the smell must get diluted. Okay, and its effect should reduce with distance. The effect of smell should reduce with distance. But it was not happening like that. Why was it not happening like that? Because the laboratory where the experiment was being done, it was ventilated, well ventilated. The laboratory where the experiment was being done, it was well ventilated. The laboratory where the experiment of cracking trithioacetone was being done, that particular laboratory was well ventilated. So the scientists did not feel the foul smell. The scientists did not feel the smell to be very foul because the laboratory was ventilated. Okay, so they did not feel the smell. But away from the laboratory, many people felt the nausea and sickness. Okay, so the odors defied the expected effects of dilution because even at a huge distance, the dilution was not much. The dilution was not very. So the smell was such a concentrated smell, you can say. The smell was such a foul and concentrated smell that it defied the expected effects of dilution. Okay, so even at a great distance, it was being you were able to sense the foul smell. Even at the great distances, you were able to feel the foul smell. Okay, so even after dilution, the smell was such a aggressive smell. The smell was such an aggressive smell that even after dilution, it was being felt. Okay. So the odors defied the expected effects of dilution since workers in the laboratory did not find the odors intolerable. Now, why the workers in the laboratory did not find the odors intolerable? The workers in the laboratory did not find the odors intolerable because of two reasons. First reason is that the laboratory was ventilated. Okay. And second reason was that the workers got used to the smell. Okay, got accustomed to the smell. The workers got used to the smell, got accustomed to the smell, they got the habit of the smell. Okay. So it was not an odd experience for them. They got used to it. So it was not an odd experience for them. But for someone who is not working with this chemical, regularly, for that person it was an unbearable smell. Okay. So workers in the laboratory did not find the odors intolerable, okay, and genuinely denied responsibility. And they were saying that we are innocent, we did not do anything. They genuinely denied the responsibility because they said, we did not do anything, you are unnecessarily making a fuss out of the issue. We did not do anything, you are unnecessarily making a fuss out of the issue. They said like that. Okay, they denied the responsibility since they were working in a closed system. So in a closed system means in a ventilated system, so they did not get the smell, they did not perceive the smell very strongly as compared to distant people as compared to distant people, the nearby people did not perceive the smell that much. Okay, and those who were at a distant places, those who were located at a distance, those persons located at a distance, they felt the smell very aggressively. So the chemists genuinely denied responsibility because they thought that we are innocent, we did not do anything. Had the smell been there, we would have been affected. They said that had the foul smell been there, then we would have also got affected by the smell. They said like that. So they claimed that we are innocent, we did not do anything. Okay, and genuinely denied responsibility since they were working in closed system. So if they were working in a ventilated system, so they did not feel the smell. So they denied the responsibility and said that we are innocent. So what was done is that to convince the chemists, they were dispersed with other observers around the laboratory. So at the place where the laboratory was located, from there, at a distance up to quarter of a mile. Now what is quarter of a mile? I have written here that 0.25 mile, a quarter mile means 0.25 mile. Okay, a quarter mile means 1 by 4 miles. What does it mean by a quarter mile? A quarter mile means 1 by 4 miles, and 1 by 4 miles means 0.25 miles, obviously. Okay, so 1 by 4 miles means 0.25 miles, and 0.25 miles is equal to 402.336 meter. 402.336 meters. That is the meaning of 0.25 mile. 402.336 meters. Okay. So an experiment was conducted that the chemist, to convince the chemist that you are responsible for the smell, to convince the chemists that you are responsible for the foul smell, to convince them, they were dispersed with other observers around the laboratory at a distance up to quarter of a mile. So at a distance of quarter of a mile, they were dispersed around the laboratory, and one drop of either acetone gem dithiol. Okay, now what is acetone gem dithiol? Let me tell you. Okay, this is acetone gem dithiol. This particular compound is acetone gem dithiol. This particular compound is acetone gem dithiol. This particular compound is acetone gem dithiol. It is also called as propane dithiol. This particular compound is also called as propane dithiol, and it is also called as acetone gem dithiol. Both are the same. Acetone gem dithiol and propane dithiol. Propane dithiol and acetone gem dithiol, both are the same things. Okay. So to convince these scientists, they were dispersed with other observers around the laboratory at a distance of up to a quarter mile, and one drop of either acetone gem dithiol or the mother liquors from crude trithioacetone crystallizations. Okay, so one drop of either acetone gem dithiol, so one drop of this was taken, one drop. Okay, one drop of this compound was taken. Okay, either that compound or the mother liquors from crude trithioacetone crystallizations. Now what is the meaning of mother liquors? Okay, let us understand the meaning of mother liquors. So mother liquors is a solution. Okay, this is the meaning of mother liquor. Now what is the meaning? Leftovers in solution. Okay, so suppose we are crystallizing something. This is a jar and this is the liquid filled in that jar. Okay, now crystallization takes place here. Here crystal is being formed. Okay, crystal is being formed here. Now what is meant by mother liquor? So suppose the things which were dissolved here, they got crystallized. The things which were dissolved, those got crystallized. Okay, and after those got crystallized, there was a solution left. And that solution which was left behind, that solution which was left behind, that is called as mother liquor. Okay, it is called as mother liquor. So in minute amounts, the substance is still dissolved in it with other impurities. A minute amount of substance is there which is still dissolved in the solution, and some minor impurities are also there along with that. Okay, minor impurities are also there. So that is called as mother liquor. Leftovers in solution form. So in solution forms, whatever is the leftover after crystallization of something, from solution. So from solution, when something gets crystallized, the leftovers are called as mother liquors. So the leftover contains a little bit of crystallized material. The leftovers contains little bit of crystallized material also. So little bit is still dissolved. Even after complete crystallization, a little bit is still there associated with this solution, and along with the substance, some impurities are also present in this solution. So that solution is called as mother liquor. So one drop of either acetone gem dithiol or mother liquors from crude trithioacetone crystallizations were placed on a watch glass. Now you all know the meaning of watch glass. What is a watch glass? You all know. So were placed on a watch glass in a fume cupboard. The odor was detected downwind in seconds. So what is a fume cupboard? A fume cupboard looks something like this. Okay. So here in this area you can have the reaction. And this is the glass window. And you can close this window. You can close this glass window so that you are not exposed to the fumes. Okay, you will stand here. Outside, and you will close this glass window. So that the inside fumes, which are present inside, do not come outside. And there is exhaust also associated with this fume cupboard. Okay, so exhaust pulls the gases from here, pulls the harmful gases from inside this, and exhales them outside. Okay, so the exhaust exhales them outside. The fumes from here, those are put outside. The fume cupboard, outside of the laboratory. Okay. So to convince the chemists, they were situated at approximately quarter of a mile. They were asked to stand there, and one drop of either acetone gem dithiol or the mother liquors from crude trithioacetone crystallizations. So those were taken, and one drop of them were taken, and they were placed on a watch glass, and that watch glass was placed in a fume cupboard. That watch glass was placed in a fume cupboard. Okay, so that watch glass was placed in a fume cupboard. After placing the watch glass in the fume cupboard, the persons who were inside the laboratory did not notice the smell. Okay, the persons who were inside the laboratory, they did not notice the smell, but those who were standing at huge distances, like quarter of a mile, which is approximately 400 meters. Quarter of a mile means 400 meters. Okay, so at a distance of quarter of a mile, that is 400 meters, the smell was recognized at once. Okay, and these chemists who were denying the responsibility of making foul smell, those chemists also got convinced because of this experiment. Okay, so the odor was detected downwind in seconds. Within a few seconds, the odor was, I don't know what is happening. Okay, so within a few seconds, the odor was detected. Downwind in seconds. In a few seconds itself, the odor was detected downwind, and the chemists got convinced that we are responsible for the foul smell. The chemists got convinced. So this was the experiment which was performed. Now propane dithiol, also called as acetone gem dithiol, this is the structure, and there is one more compound called as 4-methyl 4-sulfanyl pentane 2-on. Now this is IUPAC name. Now, how is the IUPAC name given? How is the IUPAC name given? So let us see. 1, 2, 3. This is the third carbon. This is the fourth carbon, and this is the fifth carbon. Okay. So first carbon, second carbon, third carbon, fourth carbon, fifth carbon. This is how the chain is selected. This is how the chain is selected in organic compound. Okay. So on the second carbon, there is ketone group. On the second carbon there is ketone group. Okay. So on the second carbon there is ketone group. That's why 2-on. This 2-on stands for ketone group. It stands for ketone group at second carbon. Okay. 4-methyl. This 4-methyl stands for this methyl group. Okay, which is located on fourth carbon. Okay. So this particular methyl group which is located on fourth carbon, for that 4-methyl, this on this second carbon ketone group is present. That's why 2-on. And on this fourth carbon itself, SH group is also present. So 4-methyl for methyl group, on fourth carbon SH group is also present. So 4-methyl, 4-sulfanyl. 4-methyl, 4-sulfanyl. So sulfanyl for this. Sulfanyl for this. Okay. 4-methyl, 4-sulfanyl, pentane, meth, eth, prop, but, pent. 5 carbon chain means pentane. Okay. So pentane, 2-on. So hopefully you got the name of this compound, IUPAC name of this compound. So these are the two candidates for the worst smell in the world. Two candidates for the worst smell. This is also the candidate for worst smell. This is also the candidate for worst smell in the world. And no one wants to find the winner. Okay, which is worst smelling among these? Okay, which is more worst smelling? No one wants to find the winner means no one wants to find the winner means that no one wants to know. Okay, no one wants to know which is more foul smelling. Okay, no one wants to know which is more foul smelling. Okay, no one wants to know that. Okay, there are two candidates for this dreadful smell. So the dreadful smell which I talked about at Esso research station. Okay, at Esso research station in America, USA, in Esso research station in USA. So there are two candidates for this dreadful smell. So which are those two candidates for this dreadful smell? One candidate is this. This is the first candidate for this dreadful smell, and this is the second candidate for this dreadful smell. So these are the two candidates. There are two candidates for this dreadful smell. Propane dithiol, called as acetone gem dithiol. I have already told you what is propane dithiol is also called as acetone gem dithiol. Okay. And another candidate was 4-methyl 4-sulfanyl pentane 2-on. Their structures have already been given here. Okay. So there are two candidates. It is unlikely that anyone else will be brave enough to resolve the controversy. So it is very hard that those chemists, okay, those chemists were very brave. What it wants to say is that those chemists were very brave. Why they were brave? Because they resolved the controversy. Okay, they resolved the controversy. Okay, but finding such people is difficult. Okay, so the author wants to say that it is unlikely that any other person will be brave enough to resolve the controversy. Okay, it is difficult to find such a person who will resolve the controversy. So these chemists were brave enough to resolve the controversy.